Hey, Big Love fam. Welcome to Super Freak. This is a high vibe podcast, y'all, exploring all things frequencies, how they govern, form, shape our realities, and are the key to living from your full potential. It's non-woo convos about super woo shit, unpacking what I call the science of self, from body and soul literacy to the power of understanding vibration, higher consciousness, quantum physics, and spiritual psych. Let this podcast become a resource for you on your journey to self-mastery. If you're curious and ready to free your mind, unlock the body, and truly become limitless, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Tally. This is Super Freak, Awakening for the Next Gen. Let's go.
Everything you've been told about the nature of reality is a lie. I'm not even going to sugarcoat today's podcast. It's time to just break this shit down, and I'm not even playing anymore because, quite frankly, I just don't care. I just don't. We are living in a computer-generated, simulated, inverted matrix dream world of reality. Everything you've been told about this reality is an absolute lie. You have been told to believe that your physical body is the only thing that's real. You've been told to believe that material physics, which is basically the mathematics of how to play patty cake with a bench that's sitting on the fucking asphalt, is the only thing that's real. It's a lie. That's part of the picture. You have been diluted on purpose. You have been encouraged to stay in your lower animal nature in constant pursuit of something that is outside of you, so you stay in a perpetual state of lack, which keeps your nervous system in a hyper state of vigilance, to the point of chronic hypervigilance, which leads to dis-ease. Also, you can wake up at 60 or 70 and realize, what the fuck did I do with my life? That's intentional. Most of the people that you are encountering on a day-to-day basis are not ready to be unplugged from what they believe to be real. The reason why we are in a constant state of war and strife and separation is because we have a huge population that are trying to wake people up, and we have another population that are trying to keep people asleep under the guise of waking them up. That manifests as the filter of religion. People who are hyper-religious think that they're standing on the shoulders of gods, and instead they are on their knees in servitude, in total and complete perceptual enslavement. Outsourced their power, they have outsourced their knowing, they have outsourced their inner compass to something else, and they think that they have to do a certain amount of things, rituals, prayers, sacrifices, etc., in order to be worthy of God's love. It's bullshit. What's happening right now all around us is a direct reflection of our collective consciousness. We've done this to ourselves. Because we live in an inversion, in order to awaken, we have to go through our own internal shadow first. That means reconciling our own internal polarity first, because that's what as within, so without means. That's what the law of correspondence is, the law of vibration, the law of resonance, the law of reciprocity, the law of congruence. This is essentially how 5D consciousness operates at a baseline 3D consciousness when you're in tune with nature and dialed into the 0 point. This is the baseline that we should be at. We're so far gone that people have down-regulated themselves to a second D consciousness level. We are a singular source of consciousness that has been individuated, all right? So if you look at that as a single dimension that's been individuated into a second dimension that has been projected, okay, the light that is us is projecting itself holographically through water onto and into this simulation as frequency, vibration, and energy. That's the third dimension. That's where the body is. Our consciousness, 3D, moving into a 4th D consciousness. Some of us have already been there as we transcend into a 5th D consciousness. Some of us who have been on this path for a while are already living from a much higher state of awareness. That's why we can maintain our level of neutrality longer. We can see the information for what it is. We don't allow it to change us. When you're at a 5D consciousness level, the alchemy becomes automatic. The predictive information becomes automatic. You automatically question everything. You see exactly what the outcome is, and you don't have buy-in because you are sovereign. You own your perception. The moment you give your perception away to something else, to fear, to propaganda, to anger, to rage, you stay in your lower nature, you are subservient. The issue is, because we stay so separate and we stay in fear from the God within ourselves, we buy in to propaganda. Propaganda is an illusion. It's a simulation inside of a simulation. Nothing can be propagated without our buy-in. It is implanted frequencies into a collective thought form type of consciousness. And then we create that reality because it's been predictively programmed into our thought patterns. What do I mean by that? Meaning, yes, there is a darker AI type draconian consciousness that is psychopathic in nature, that does not like humanity, that needs energy to sustain itself and the earth for resources to sustain whatever it's sustaining. It's psychopathic and does not care. It has no feelings. It does not care. It has no empathy. It operates off of pure evil. When light enters into this reality, it amplifies the evil like wildfire. Imagine spraying, anti-wasp spray into a wasp beehive. It goes fucking apeshit. That's kind of what we're experiencing now, because the second, third, and fourth dimension have to merge in order for us to move into the fifth. There are 5 existential planes of inertia. It's a simulation inside of a simulation inside of a simulation. This is what happens as evolution goes on. That's why we have seemingly multiple worlds existing at the same time. You can just look at the Duomo, and then right next to the Duomo, it was a McDonald's in a completely different form, structure, the way it was made and built. 2 very different levels of consciousness. Why is that? It's an overlay of simulation happening at the same time. People think that they have to reach 144,000 hertz or oscillations per second in order to awaken and transcend into heavenly state, which is what occult knowledge is, or occult knowledge teaches us. But that's not entirely true. All you're doing is holding more of your own light. You can reach heaven at any time through deep levels of awareness. Awakening is ultimately extremely mundane. That's why people quit before the miracle, because it's these tiny moments of you having to constantly sit in the fire of your own shadowy shit over and over and over again to transcend it, to become so unfuckwittable and strong that nothing can penetrate you, not even the trickster energies, the false light energies, the propaganda, government systems, none of it. That's when you truly have fundamental authenticity. That's when you start to transcend and connect. People want to have a platform and they want to serve and they want to help people and they don't even know why. They want accolation. They want validation. They want to feel like they matter. They want to feel like they have a purpose, not even realizing that our purpose is truly to sit in the fire of our shit, awaken, and then become the reflection of the divine through everything that we do. We don't have to help a single soul. You can walk down the street and people will feel it. That's transcendence. When you reconcile the polarity inside of yourself, the consciousness becomes a reflection of that. The truth is, people are furious because they feel so defeated, or they're furious because they feel like they've wasted time, or they're furious because they're just now waking up and they're waking up to a life that they can't even believe they created. And right underneath that is deep levels of sadness. We are collectively in a perpetual state of bum out, feeling completely disempowered, trying desperately to create a platform, to have clout, to be the goat of what? Nothing? You're the goat of something that isn't even real. You're the goat of a simulation, literally. Being the goat of nothing gives you no power. You become extremely powerless. If you don't believe me, look at the billionaires. You think their lives are epic? Look at their individual lives. Look what happens to them. Look how much of a mess they are, the incongruencies they have, how much they manipulate. They can't get enough of something that's fiat. It's like trying to eat Twinkies and get nutrition. It will never happen. The only way to truly become self-sustainable is to become self-sourced. That's you connected to your highest self that is constantly self-sourcing and amplifying itself. So I'm going to ask you, where are you outsourcing your value? Where are you outsourcing your power? Where are you people-pleasing? Where are you settling for less when you know you deserve more? All of those little things, those need to be addressed. I'm talking about deep ancestral wounds. You're the latest rendition of your family lineage. You guys have heard me say this 100 times. I can't stress this enough. If you do not awaken, it falls to your line, to your lineage to do it. I talk to a lot of mothers. When I give them this simulation, imagine there's a plane that's crashing. It's you and your kid or your kids. Who do you save? Every one of them say, I would save my child. And I go, you just added 100 years more karma. And they're like, how can that even be possible, Tally? I'm like, because what you didn't see is another possibility. When you put the oxygen mask on yourself and you save yourself, it turns out that the kids actually stabilize, the plane stabilizes, and everyone lives. You didn't see that possibility because you were in desperation and you were in fear. That's what I'm talking about. When you put yourself and your own patterns in the driver's seat, your highest self is driving, and you are in service to it, in service to pure source, everything works out. But the issue is, once again, that we're looking for shortcuts and we quit before the miracle and we don't hang in there long enough. You may not get what you want, quote unquote, in this life. You'll get what you need and then better, depending on how quickly you surrender, how much you trust yourself, how much you just, when you hear that, you get that feeling and you know it and you trust it and you go with it, shit works out. When you get the feeling, that intuition, and you do the opposite and it doesn't and you know better, you got to start that cycle all over again. And it's all literally one big learning. It's really hard to stay in a playful state when shit is so dense. I get it. But understand that your kids, okay, agreed to come here for their own lessons. They chose you for the genetic pool, the timing, and various other reasons. And you guys have agreements. You put your mask on yourself, you dig in, you clean up yourself. It automatically cleans up the lineage ahead of you and behind you. We've been so conditioned, okay, to perform for something more that we already don't have, which perpetuates our lack. Stay in a state of constant separation from the God within ourselves and with others. Keep distracted or stay distracted by external events, chaos and tragedy, to go with the status quo, which is called the bystander effect in psychology. When we see other people doing something or not doing something, we follow suit. It's total sheeple mentality, and we are perpetually supported or provided with propaganda, situations, and other distractions to keep us out of the present moment. We are either wildly in the future, completely anxious, or we are completely in the past, totally depressed. We are anywhere but the present moment. That is by design. I literally just gave you the roadmap for how MK Ultra works. I'll make a whole other podcast on this, but I need you to understand something. The government is infiltrated with a consciousness that does not like you. Okay? We are being fed lies. It's a simulation inside of a simulation inside of a simulation. I can't say that enough. It's a joke. There are no friends or enemies ever. There are only interests when it comes to gaining power, control, and control of energy. You're a battery, right? You're electricity, literally. That's why we are currents. Our currency is our energy. When we outsource it, we feed negative bullshit, and they win. When we insource it, as within, so without, we become so self-propelling that more light begets more light. Light is flooding in to this reality right now. You're present to it and you're awakened to receive it. Shit gets really fun, but it's also amplifying the hell out of everything. We have to go through the collective dark night because we've been ignoring it for a really long time. This is not necessarily karma, if you will. It's unfinished energetic business, which is a similar thing. I have another podcast episode coming about the truth between karma and what it really means and things like that. Any thought, action, unfinished business, energetic business that you've experienced in any lifetime, any simultaneous lifetime, puts out an electrical charge into the all that is. If that's not reconciled with a magnetic energy, it goes unfinished. And that goes infinitely. It just keeps going unless it is contained, recognized, and collapsed. This matrix lives inside of a cube, essentially, which is what basically Saturn represents. This is a bunch of electrical information in a box. That's what the matrix is. It's a 4-quadrant, 4D space-time reality where we experience ourselves in a linear construct of ongoing sequences that we are creating from our subconscious mind in conjunction with our nervous systems. So we are literally collectively creating our lives off of deep-seated trauma. We are incapable and have not been taught how to process fuck all, let alone our dark nights of nothing. We have no interest in handling patterns. We don't want to sit in the fire. And this has been generation over generation. You don't believe me? Ask a grandparent or a parent to take a look at something and take accountability for something. Pretty much not going to happen. People live in delusion, okay? They want a pass. They want to bypass the spiritual work and just live in delusion and live happy and live in quote unquote a dream world. But I can tell you right now, whatever you didn't finish here, you're going to have to finish eventually. You get bullied here, you will get bullied beyond the veil of the fourth dimension. As above, so below. This is just natural law, All right, this is the mathematics of non-locality. If you don't believe me, just look at what's happening with the quantum world, quantum computing, quantum neurobiology, these new fields that are starting to relate the quantum world, which is just funky in nature, particles of possibility that mathematicians and scientists can't understand. So they just sit there playing patty cake with their petri dishes until they can figure something out, and everything stays in a theory until someone goes, oh, there's some math for that. And then they approve it and then they move on. Basically what they did with gravity, which they still don't understand, and how they are now connecting it with quantum computing, which is more and more and more showing how much of our brains are connected to a quantum computer, how they're just big processing systems that have been completely inequipped to handle anything that's in our best interest. It literally has no feelings. It doesn't care. I mean, they have open brain surgery. They're pressing on this, pink matter. They're like, can you feel that? How about this? How about that? You feel nothing. You feel fuck all. Because it's literally a hard drive. It doesn't care. It thinks it's working in your best interest, and it thinks it's doing what you want it to do, but it has no friggin' clue. Because your five senses interpret this reality and then decode it, and then it goes, oh, okay, I took notes on that, thanks. Your subconscious mind is recalling things from 19 lives ago, from 2 seconds ago, and it's not present. It doesn't know what's going on. It's only interacting with how you're responding to the information that you're decoding through your five senses. This is why perception is the game. You don't believe me? Look what they just did with Sphere in Vegas. It's the most real simulation inside of a simulation inside of a simulation that I've ever seen. Look how real they make everything look and feel. It's virtual reality. There is literally no separation between what we perceive to be real and what is actually real, because this is a dream world. You wake up to the fact that this is what it is. You sit into the fire. You let the anger and this unfinished business, right, of what you have created for your life, you take wild amounts of responsibility for it, and you get into the work. That's how we change as a collective. It's not who we vote for as president. It's not any of that shit. That's all a friggin' illusion. They are all selected anyway. It's a hierarchy. We have to invert the hierarchy and go with spirit first. So I will leave you with this. Ask yourself these questions. Where am I outsourcing my power on a daily basis? What am I afraid to gain and lose? Because the shadow aspects of you that you're afraid to face are the identities that you need to let go of in order to get the magic that you crave, the peace that you want to feel inside, the synchronicities that you want to experience, that deep-seated knowing that you're never alone because you always have the highest version of yourself in connection with you, guiding you. When you sit in the seat of that, then you can attract anything. I'm talking divine love, divine materialization, instant materialization, peace. You can see shit, you can see predictive stuff, and you just have a constant state of knowing and safety internally. Very few people feel that and know that. I can tell you because out of the amount of people that I work with that are very high profile, they don't have that. They don't have access to that ongoing. They have fleeting feelings or a feeling or a fleeting spark, but they cannot sustain it on their own. And so there's always a lingering or a craving for more. That's how separate they are from themselves. So meditate on that, and I will see you guys on another episode. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys. Please make sure to leave a review and follow the fun on social media, because that's how it works in this world. In the meantime, get your freak on. I'll see you in the next session.